By the time that I came to Karasoke in 2002, Pablo was already quite a notorious character. Whilst he was a youngster, he was very playful. That play had become somewhat more impressive as an adult silverback. So I remember when I first went into the group being rather nervous about meeting Pablo. And indeed, whenever you saw him, he sort of had a frown on his face.
I first got to know Pablo when I went to Rwanda in my role as the director of the Karasoke Research Center back in 1991. So I lived with Pablo, you might say. He would seek me out when I was sitting and observing him or other gorillas nearby. He would sneak up behind me and often grab me by the straps of my backpack, take me for a spin through the brush just by pulling me, dragging me behind, as it were. It was a bit unnerving at first, but then once I realized that he didn't mean to harm me, he just meant to use me to show off his prowess to the other males, then it wasn't so scary. Dian Fossey knew Pablo very well, and she would tickle him. She would have tickle sessions with him, play sessions with him, and of course, gorillas love to do this. They're quite happy to make us play partners, make us into play partners. But nowadays, after Fossey, you might say, that became discouraged because of the potential for the transmission of disease from us to them. That's really the greatest risk.
So Pablo was the dominant silverback in his group for about 1 year before Cansby, another silverback in the group, became the dominant male. So despite him being the second-ranking silverback, he still had a very central role in the group. Pablo really came into his own during interactions with other groups. When there was an intergroup interaction, Cansby would stay with all of the young infants and their mothers, and Pablo would go out in advance with some of the other younger males to defend his group. And we suspect that this is really what probably led to his death earlier this year. From following signs of gorilla trail, we suspect that he had an interaction with another silverback. Pablo was born at a time when mountain gorilla population was really declining quite rapidly. Habitat was being converted to agriculture. And through Gorillas in the Mist, Pablo then became a household name. I remember before I'd even arrived in Rwanda, people asking me at home about Pablo. And really his story is quite remarkable that during that period there was a turnaround in gorilla conservation and that the gorilla population started to grow. And incredibly, his group grew from an initial 20 gorillas to an incredible 65 gorillas, which is the largest mountain gorilla group ever recorded. Although everybody was very saddened by the death of Pablo this year, it was also reassuring that Pablo had been able to live out his life to a natural death in a wild population, as so many gorillas during the 70s were unable to do so.